Here's me and a parasitic worm coming out my arm. I love worms, even parasitic worms. They're one of my autistic special interests. With autism, you can feel empathy for animals and inanimate objects. With OCD on top of that, I feel anxious and worry I might accidentally harm or squish insects, mites, and worms, as I don't want to hurt the tiny creatures or cause the tiny creatures any pain or suffering. Sometimes I see a long thin hair on my arms moving around because of the air in the room. I think, is that a parasitic worm crawling out of my arm? But I don't want to touch what seems like a worm because I think parasitic worms are quite delicate and I would not want to hurt the parasitic worms. This means I anxiously stare at the hair on my arm for a while, trying to work out if it is a parasitic worm coming out of my arm or just a hair. To complicate this, sometimes the hair is actually poking through the fabric of my jumper or blanket. This means the hair is standing upright through the fabric and is actually quite hard to tell apart from a parasitic worm because it is the only hair poking through the jumper, so there are no other hairs for comparison. I don't touch the hair because of how delicate parasitic worms are, and I don't want to cause the parasitic worm any pain or suffering.
I am Wormerine. I grow my nails really long, like Wolverine's claws. Earthworms are very delicate, and one factor why I grow my nails long is that worms are a lot easier to pick up, and with long nails you can be really gentle with worms, as you can slide the nails under the earthworms and pick them up. I then take the worms off the sidewalk and put them on the grass where they can't dry out or be stood on. I rescue the worms. I am Wormerine, and I've given myself a mask over my eyes, similar to Wolverine's mask.
I made a video with 250,000 words in it, and the video is genuinely 26 hours long and has hundreds and hundreds of drawings. But I think that's not good enough. It's not the longest video ever made, and if it's not the longest video ever made, then anyone can make it, and it's not good enough. Even if the longest video ever is just two colours alternating between each other. My video only has half as many words as the entire combined Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's not good enough. It's not even as long as the combined Lord of the Rings books in word count. That's not good enough. Anyone can make that. It has to be longer. My videos get about 2 views, and that's because I myself have viewed my own videos 2 times. Although I also upload the individual separate parts of my video to YouTube, as well as the combined video, my videos still don't get any views. My video has to be so long and perfect that people won't just ignore it like all my other videos. It's a lot harder to ignore a 26-hour-long video, but people probably still will. I get perfectionistic with everything. For example, I've actually grew my nails extremely long, like in the drawing, and everyone says they can't believe how long my nails are. But in my mind, I'm thinking, my nails are not long enough. They could be longer. They're not even the longest nails in the world. Anyone could grow nails that long. I can't cut my nails yet. They're still not long enough to be good enough. They have to be longer. I'm so critical of myself, and I hold myself to such high standards, whereas I don't really hold anyone else to any high standards. I don't really hold anyone to any standards at all. I'm a lot more critical of myself than I am critical of others. And I don't impose my standards on others, because I know that would be really horrible for other people. I'm so sad and pathetic that the only date I've ever had is with a fly buzzing around my food. We were both eating the same strand of spaghetti from opposite ends, like in Lady and the Tramp. I didn't want to hurt the fly, so the same fly ended up buzzing around my food for months and months. It was a very tiny fly, so it was very hard to capture and put outside. I have not attempted going on a date because of my OCD. With OCD, you care about morality and irrationally worry about making any woman feel uncomfortable or creeping them out, regardless of whether you're actually attracted to them. And the possibility of being attracted to any woman at all is very distressing, as you worry what if you think of them as an object or try to use them or have other problematic behaviors. You worry about these things because they go against your values, and I have worried about what if I am attracted to my therapist or make them uncomfortable, but all my therapists have said I'm the safest person to be around. In real life, giant earthworms actually exist. One real giant earthworm is a really nice Prussian blue colour. When I was feeling down and depressed, I just imagined a big earthworm I could cuddle. I love earthworms, squidgy texture, and I love to squeeze and stretch a giant earthworm and give them a really tight hug. When I find earthworms on the sidewalk, I put them in the grass so they don't dry out and so no one stands on them. Earthworms are very delicate and I have very long fingernails so I can scoop up the worms and be very gentle with the worms when rescuing them. With autism, you can attribute human-like characteristics and human feelings to worms or other non-human things and think of them as if they're like humans. I feel very caring, compassionate, empathetic, kind, loving, and affectionate towards worms. I find lots of things really cute that other people usually would not, and I love cuddling things to the point where I will cuddle my family for an hour a day. But my medication gives me high levels of a hormone called prolactin. Prolactin increases when you have a baby, and it gears you towards looking after the baby. My prolactin is too high, and I therefore have to reduce my tablets. With OCD, I feel extreme distress, because if my prolactin reduces, will I be less caring and empathetic? Will I not have a strong acute response? Will I not want to cuddle things as much? With perfectionism, I don't even want to be 1% less caring, or I would not be good enough, and I would not be able to live with that. I'm either perfect or a horrible, very bad person, and I hate myself. I feel extreme shame and guilt and worthlessness about any of my hormones changing. But I'm only changing them very slightly, and my family don't think it will affect me. Part 2. With autism, you can attribute human-like characteristics and human feelings to insects, worms, and mites, or other non-human things like rocks, and think of them as if they're like humans. Mites are like little tiny red dots. Round tiny things like mites are cute. I love mites as though they're my babies. Here's me cradling a baby made out of little red mites. With OCD, I feel a lot of distress around what if I accidentally harm an insect or mite and I have to rescue worms off the sidewalk and put the worms on the grass so they don't get stood on or dry out. I have lots of other compulsions like checking the ground while walking so I don't accidentally squish anything, as I feel empathy for tiny creatures and I don't want to cause them any pain or suffering. I feel very caring, compassionate, empathetic, kind, loving, and affectionate towards worms, insects, and mice. I'd love to hug a giant earthworm, as giant earthworms actually exist. I find lots of things really cute that other people usually would not, and I love cuddling things to the point where I will cuddle my family for an hour a day. But my medication gives me high levels of a hormone called prolactin. Prolactin increases when you have a baby and it gears you towards looking after the baby. My prolactin is too high and I therefore have to reduce my tablets. With OCD, I feel extreme distress because if my prolactin reduces, will I be less caring and empathetic? Will I not have a strong acute response? Will I not want to cuddle things as much? Like giant squidgy and stretchy earthworms that I love, or my mum, who is also very squidgy and has a skin condition which also makes her face a lovely bright pink, like earthworms. Cuddling a pile of mites would be like cuddling a pile of sand that I love the look and feel of as it shifts around. Cuddling is also an autism sensory thing that I love. Pink and red are also my favourite colours, and I love the bold and tense red colour of mites. That is also a sensory thing. With perfectionism, I don't even want to be 1% less caring, or I would not be good enough, and I would not be able to live with that. I'm either perfect or a horrible, very bad person, and I hate myself. I feel extreme shame and guilt and worthlessness and insecure inadequacy, a lot of confusion, depressed, empty, anxious, overwhelmed, and worry. I feel hate towards myself and disgust at myself, like feeling worthless. And the shame and guilt are very strong, even though I have not actually done anything wrong. It's just my OCD warping my perspective of myself and combining with my depression to give me more negative, critical view of myself. I feel all these emotions around any of my hormones changing, but I'm only changing my medication very slightly, and my family don't think it will affect me. You may feel like a worthless piece of poo, but yellow dung flies love poo just like all your friends and family love and care about you. To dung flies, you are not worthless, just like how you are valued by your friends and family. Because you feel like a worthless piece of poo, you may constantly be thinking that you hate yourself and constantly being very harsh and critical of yourself and thinking you're a horrible, really bad person. You may be feeling extreme shame and guilt or disgust at yourself. You may feel really insecure and inadequate about yourself, like you're not good enough and nothing you do will ever be good enough. You may feel perfectionistic, where if nothing you do is good enough, then you are not good enough. With conditions like OCD and depression, you may feel so confused to the point where you don't even know what's real and feel like you've lost touch with reality, even when you're not psychotic and have not actually lost touch with reality in the same way as being psychotic. You may feel depressed to the point where you feel you don't deserve to do anything nice or anything at all and just do nothing or punish yourself. You don't engage in any self-care or self-compassion, because why would you care about for yourself if you hate yourself and feel worthless or like you need to be punished? You may feel empty, like there is no point to your existence, like nothing you do will ever have a positive impact on anyone, so what's even the point? You may feel extreme anxiety, overwhelm and worry about who you are as a person and that you have to urgently figure it out. Mental illnesses can warp your perspective of who you are as a person. You may feel extreme shame and guilt, even though you have not done anything wrong. You may feel shame and guilt because you're such a good person. And if you were a bad person, you would not care so much about being a good person in the first place. If you've been ill for so long, it can be very hard to even see how mental illness can warp your perspective of yourself because you don't know what it's like to not be mentally ill. Even if you are a piece of poo and you think you're worthless, all the dung flies know that's not true, just like how your friends and family know that's not true, and all your friends and family think the world of you, even if your perspective is so warped that you cannot emotionally understand that. And look at dung flies' big cute eyes and how fluffy dung flies are. Dung flies are adorable, just like how a pet might love you. And how bright and vibrant yellow dung flies are. I love yellow dung flies. And my family and friends just as much as they love me. My mum has an extremely squidgy face and body. My mum also has a skin condition that makes her face bright red and bright pink. With autism, I really like the colour pink and squidgy things. It's a sensory thing, and that's why I love earthworms and my mum so much. They're both pink and squidgy. I love them for the same reason. When cuddling my mum, I want to squeeze my mum until her eyes pop out. I say to my mum, I'm going to very gradually squeeze you harder and harder. So tell me if this starts to very slightly hurt, so I can stop before it gets any worse and hurts properly. No matter how hard I squeeze, it never actually hurts my mum at all, even though I'm squeezing her as hard as is humanly possible for me. She's so squidgy that it does not even affect her, and instead it ends up hurting me a lot because I'm exerting myself so much trying to squeeze her. Because of my medication, my levels of the hormone prolactin are too high. Prolactin has similar effects to oxytocin. Oxytocin can make you more empathetic, generous, and give you more warm, fuzzy feelings. I'm really worried if I reduce my medication and my prolactin level comes down, then I won't be as empathetic and generous. And I hope I don't get any less warm, fuzzy feelings. If I don't get as many warm, fuzzy feelings, I may find things less cute. I may feel less loving and affectionate, and I may want to cuddle things or people like my mom less. I'm I may find my mom less cute as I find my mom really cute in an innocent way, like I would a dog. I also don't want to be any less sweet or cute, but my family is all say that reducing my medication should not have any effect on my personality and should not make a difference if my prolactin levels come down. I love playing with Mum's squidgy loose arm fat gets called bingo wings, and my mum is like a cute little gliding squirrel. I want to stretch my mum's arm fat out like dough and roll it with a rolling pin and cook her and gobble her up. My mum is like a gelatinous blob that changes shape when you squeeze her. You can manipulate her and she molds to you when you hug and squeeze her. She's very malleable and even ductile, as you could probably shape her into a wire. She's like a fidget toy and she's my favourite sensory toy. They're adorable and give me a warm, fuzzy feeling like when seeing a cute, friendly dog. If I reduce my antipsychotic, then my hormone prolactin may no longer be raised as much. Prolactin makes parents more caring and look after their babies. I don't have kids, but I want to be caring to tiny creatures like worms and be caring towards my friends and family and help them and look after them. I have a really strong, cute response, and I even find worms and mites really cute. What if I no longer find things as cute? Women can still be very caring even if they don't have high prolactin, and they may become therapists or nurses to help people because of maternal instincts. But I'm a man. If I don't have high prolactin levels, will I not be as caring and compassionate and not have as strong maternal instincts or not find things as cute? Why are most therapists and nurses women? Will I be less caring because I'm a man? While I have no intentions of ever working with children, primary school teachers are also nearly all women. Although I want to be caring towards tiny creatures, friends, family, and people in general, and not necessarily kids because I don't have any children, I feel like if I have strong maternal instincts, it will make me more caring towards people and animals in general. I cared for my grandma with Alzheimer's 30 hours a week, and I never got any money or paid for that. But when I was my grandma's carer, I had high prolactin. I won't have high prolactin anymore. I feel a lot of shame and guilt just for being a man, and I worry I'm a bad person. Let's peel back my mum's flesh. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is the adipocytes, which are fat cells in the bingo wings. So these are look like little yellow round balls, and these are the cells, and they have like a black dot to the side of them, which are the nucleus. Next, we're going to move on to the rolling pin, which is made of wood. And inside the rolling pin, you have little tunnels made by woodworms, which are insect larvae. So the little woodworms burrow into the wood and they'll have their tunnels. My mom has the skin condition rosacea, which makes her face red and pink. And inside my mom's cheeks, we have the blood vessels and we have the dark purple round things, which are immune cells, I think, associated with rosacea and inflammation. Next, in the head, we have the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland releases prolactin. And so I'm worried about how having less prolactin will affect me. Will it make me less caring? And the pituitary gland has two main lobes, so it just looks like it has two lobes in the drawing. And now we move on to the torso. So Mam is even more pink and squidgy on the inside with rounder parts like cells and alveoli. So in the torso, we have lungs which are squishy and full of air, and we have alveoli and lungs which are like clusters of round balls. And round things are cute, and I like the shape of round things like my mom's head. And my mom's head is really round and pink and squidgy. It's like a round ping pong ball. Part 3. My mum is like a flump marshmallow. Mum is a fluffy lump, or flump for short, and I used to always call my mum a flump. My mum has the look and feel of a flump marshmallow, and I love to sink into her and be absorbed as shown in the picture. I'd love to take a bite out of mum like a marshmallow. I used to call my mum Flumple Frizzle Fuzzle Fluff. I love squishy things like marshmallows and my mum. Autism can affect your senses, and so a lot of my interests are to do with sensory things, like the look and feel of things. For example, I love the colours pink and red, and I love the feel of squidgy and fluffy things. I like cute things, the shape of round things. I love small or tiny things. I like weird things. I like the look and feel of grainy things. For example, sand, sandstone, and a pile of mites. The main character in my videos, my pet rock, is made of sandstone. And sandstone is made of grains of sand. And in my story, everything is made of mites, like everything being made up of living grains of mites. On the topic of rocks, I especially like round pebbles, and when I did a 2.5 hour long video about rocks being conscious and the neurology of rocks, a very large portion of that was my theory as to why rocks are round. I have a special interest in earthworms, and my mom because they are both pink and squidgy. My mom's head is also very round and cute. I'm especially interested in mites because they are red, round, and tiny. I'm especially interested in amoebas because they are squidgy and tiny. My mom also wears fluffy clothes. I am interested in fluffy moss and the microscopic hairs on geckos' feet. Geckos are also especially cute, and I was more interested in geckos than any other lizard. It is odd because small or tiny things are cute. Round things with soft edges are cute. Squidgy and fluffy things are cute, and I like the connotations of pink, like it being a caring colour. But pink is also associated with youthful qualities or cuteness. It is weird that sensory things I like are also qualities that make something cute. Because the hormone prolactin gears you up for looking after babies, I really hope that when I reduce my prolactin, that I will still like cute things just as much. As well as sensory things, there are other factors that determine what I'm interested in. Usually I can't have an autistic special interest with that same special interest also connected to OCD in some way. For example, before I was that interested in earthworms and mites, I already had OCD compulsions around rescuing worms and making sure I did not accidentally squish or harm mites. OCD can give you more empathy and an emotional connection to things like earthworms and mites, which may lead to a special interest in them. Emotional connections in general can lead me to becoming very interested in things or people. For example, I had a special interest in my mom, who I'm very close to. You can form emotional connections to your family and friends in general, and I've always been very interested in mental health. This means that I have a special interest in a condition called borderline personality disorder, which a couple of my friends have. I find one of my friends' mental health very interesting as they have this condition. With OCD, I worry about creeping out or making any woman in general uncomfortable, regardless of whether I feel any attraction to them at all. However, I care about and value my friends and friendships, so making friends creeped out or uncomfortable or upsetting friends causes me extreme distress. These worries are so distressing because they go against my values and are the opposite of who I am as a person. However, these worries may make me more empathetic, attuned, caring, and kind towards my friends because I'm so attuned to them and their well being. A special interest in their condition therefore extends to them, which makes me more understanding of them and leads to more of an emotional connection. With OCD, I feel like I'm a bad person, and I feel a lot of shame and guilt. I feel like how a parasite may feel. Feeling like a bad person, and therefore relating to parasites, gives me a strong emotional connection to parasites. This combines with my interest in worms and leads to me being very interested in parasitic worms in particular. OCD leads to or amplifies my special interests. I am also interested in things in general that are connected to mental health, like my own mental health, which OCD causes me to obsessively ruminate about, and I'm interested in my friend's mental health because it is so similar to my own mental health and helps me understand my own mental health and compare it. I am also interested in obscure, overlooked things like amoebas, mites, and worms. Other people are not interested in them. For example, I'm more interested in moths than butterflies. I like invertebrates, like extremely obscure groups of invertebrates, like some crustaceans such as pentastomes, ostracods, branchiurans, and remipedes, which you may not even heard of these, or more well-known crustaceans like barnacles or woodlice, which woodlice are actually a type of crustacean. And I like these things that no one else really things that no one else really likes or cares about. But too many people like insects and spiders, so I'm more interested in woodlice as they are not insects. I'm also not interested in animals my dad likes, like birds, mammals, and most insects, because I associate them with my dad. Dad and most people are interested in butterflies, so I like moths instead. I like things I can personify and give human traits to and feel empathy for. For example, I can personify the nematode worm C. elegans, as mental health conditions can be studied in this worm. I also like other animals that are obscure and influenced by OCD. For example, obscure animals called palpigrades that are arachnids but not spiders, and they're more obscure than spiders. Palpigrades have tails, so OCD got involved and made me feel like I have a palpigrade's tail, even though I don't really have a tail. Maybe I like weird, different, obscure, and overlooked animals because I feel overlooked, weird, and different, and maybe small myself, and insignificant. Maybe I like vulnerable things because they make me want to care for them and protect them. If I reduce my medication and my hormone prolactin also reduces, will I be interested in different things and not want to care for things and be less drawn to vulnerable animals like mice and worms? Maybe I find earthworms so cute because they're so vulnerable, pink and squidgy.